Welcome to Pilates at Home. Thank you for signing up to the course. What we have today is we have one of the fundamental classes and the most basic one of all. And what we're going to do today is teach you how to imprint the spine perfectly. So these classes are slower than the usual ones. These are all about getting that technique 100% right. Because if you don't have control of those muscles, it doesn't matter how strong they are, you won't be able to activate them at the right time. And that's what we're going to start with today. So the imprint is the most basic part of Pilates. It's part of every exercise that we do. And what it is, it's all about control of your lumbopelvic area of your body. So the lumbar spine here and how it interacts with your pelvis. And what we need to do is be able to control that in tilting forward and back, tilting from side to side, and then also getting a little bit of rotation into it, but all that coming from the hips and not from the shoulders and not from the legs moving. And we're going to run through that today. So once we get that right, all the exercises get so much more of a benefit from them. So we're going to come on to our back to get started. So rest the head on a towel, so you've got just a little bit of support underneath the head. Knees are bent, so there's about a 90-degree bend in the knees, and the feet are flat down on the floor. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you how to roll the pelvis back and forward like this. So a couple of ways you can do it. You can put your fingertips onto those two bony pieces at the front of your pelvis here, and you can imagine rolling them up towards you and then push them away. Or some people find easier is placing your hands underneath the low part of your back. Where there's that arch that lifts up to the ceiling, and you're going to push your spine down into your hands and then relax, and then push down into your hands again and then relax. And make sure when you're doing this you're not tucking your chin in, you're not lifting the head and shoulders up to get that pressure. It's all about relaxing the upper body. Squeeze the hands by rolling the hips back and then rest back down. You're almost imagining trying to lift your hips, your pelvis up off the mat as you push down into your hands. So again, you squeeze down into your hands, roll the hips back, and then rest back down. There shouldn't be any tension in your upper body. And squeeze down again, and then back down. Good. And that's an imprint. So what we're trying to do is just squeeze down into your hands, pushing down, relax the shoulders, and that pressure is imprinting the spine into the mat below you, and the most fundamental part of Pilates. But we're going to develop that. So that's only 1 degree that I told you about there. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to develop it into a bridge. And again, it's another very fundamental basis of Pilates. So hands by the side, imprint the spine. So you should feel that arch in your back collapsing. And you're going to roll the hips back. Lift them up nice and high. So there's a straight line from your knees through your hips to your shoulders. And then you're going to bring the hips back down onto the mat. Now, as you do this, I don't want you to think of the back just coming up like a plank and straight back down. You should imagine it coming up like a wave or a bead of pearls, and one pearl lifts up and then the next and then the next and then the next after that. So what you imagine is you roll the hips back as far as you can. Then you can't go any further, you start to push the hips straight up into the air, and then you come back down and the upper vertebrae hit the mat first, and then the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one, all one at a time. And then you come out of that imprint at the end, and your back arches. Let's try that again. So, shoulders relaxed, hands by your side, chin is tucked in, roll the hips back, and lift the hips up into a bridge, and then slowly rolling back down, smooth movements on the way down. Perfect. And then nice and flat, and form that arch in your back again. Almost try and push the pelvis, those two bones at the front of your pelvis away from you, and let the ribs here pop up. And then you want to imagine those ribs collapsing down, the back collapsing, and then the ribs and those bony pieces in your pelvis coming together, squeezing as tight as you can. Roll the hips back, and then lower back down. Perfect. 1 vertebrae at a time again. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to build some rotational control around the pelvis. So we're going to imprint the spine, lift the hips up into a bridge, up nice and high again. This time you're going to drop your right hip down and back up, and use your hands on those bones at the front again. Have the left one drop down there, but keep that right one nice and high, and the left pushes back up, and then the right comes down and then back up, and then the left comes down and back up, and then the right, keeping that left nice and high. Push the right up, drop the left, and back up. You're almost trying to twist your body from side to side, but one side of the pelvis stays perfectly still here. Back up, right side stays still as you drop the left down to the mat. You're swinging your hips from side to side, but that one point, that bony point to the front, stays still all the time. Last one, left one drops down, and then back up, and then roll the vertebrae down. Good. We'll try that one more time. Relax the shoulders, knees are bent, feet are on the mat. Hands onto the front, it's called the ASIS. Onto the front, the bony point to the front of the pelvis, roll the hips back, lift the hips up nice and high, drop the right hip down, the left ASIS stays perfectly still where it is. Right hip comes back up, the right bony point to the front of the pelvis stays where it is, and the left drops down. And then back up, and then rest back down. Perfect. So we've got twisting forward and back, we've got a rotational movement. Now you need to get some sideways movements. We're going to practice that. So again, head onto the block, nice and comfortable, shoulders relaxed, there should be no tension in the upper body. We're going to imprint the spine, roll the hips back, lift the hips up nice and high, keep the pelvis level, so those two ASIS, those two bony points at the front of the hips, just below where your belt will be, right at the side. You're going to slide them to the left, back to the middle, slide them to the right, back to the middle. Keep them level though, so don't let them drop down. Don't be dropping the hips side to side. Up nice and high, the hips slide over to the side, and back, and over to the right, and back, and over to the left, and back, and over to the right, and back. Imagine a typewriter. Imagine that spool rolling out to the side and you're pushing it back in. So as you're typing along, it's moving its way out to the left, and then at the end of the line, you push it back in. And then going to the other side of the time, hips roll out to the right, and then you push it back in. Perfect. Keep the hips nice and high. The glutes are working hard. Slide the hips to the left, and then back in. Keep those two hips level, left and right. Hips go to the right, and then back in, and then roll the vertebrae down one at a time again. Perfect. So we're building control around the hips. We've got really good control now of rolling back and forward, a little bit of rotation, and some sideways translations. The next thing we're going to do, well, what we're doing so far is we're getting your abs to the work and the glutes are helping out. We're going to take the glutes out of it and we're going to come into some toe taps. So next one, imprint the spine again. So your back is pushed down straight into that mat. Hands by the side relaxed. Squeeze the abs nice and tight. Bring the right leg to tabletop. That's 90 degrees at the knee and 90 degrees at the hip. Keep the back flat. Keep squeezing down really hard. And we're going to bring the left leg up to match it. Keep that imprint really strong, really indented. Good. Keep that pressure through the back. You're going to tap the right toes down. Back up. And then the left toes down. Back up. And then the right. Perfect. And then the left. And the knee comes back up directly above the hip. And then rest the feet down one at a time. Good. Now what I want you to do is slide the hands underneath your back. Into that small of the back, into where the arch should be. You're going to collapse that arch, squeeze down into the hands. Right leg to tabletop. Good. So the abs are working. Left leg comes up to meet it. Perfect. Feel that pressure. Feel how nice and strong it is. Tap the toes off the mat. Right. And then left. As you tap the toes down, do you feel that pressure easing out? If you do, stop halfway, reinforce the imprint, and tap the toes. Bring the leg back up. Right foot comes down. Pause halfway, reinforce the imprint again. Tap the right toes. Left one more time. Keep that imprint on the whole time. Legs back to tabletop. And then rest the feet down to the side. Now, have a little rest there. So, what we've done there is we've worked on the imprint. You might have to go through this video a couple of times to get used to it. It's a difficult thing at the start to be able to twist your pelvis back and forward, side to side, and to isolate that one area. And that's what we're trying to do, is to reteach the body how to isolate one muscle at a time. And that's what we're going to work on, being more graceful in and around our pelvis and hips, not moving out like one big block, but be able to isolate little movements, small little bits at a time. Thanks for doing this class, and I'll see you again.